it's Pete Moore and welcome to PCMGuns. I have here the latest iteration of Ruger's original budget rifle, the American. It's the American Gen 2. Now the American is a typical budget rifle introduced a good few years ago now, but the Gen 2 has moved on a little bit. It's still the same basic rifle, but what they've done, they've made it look a bit prettier. They've put a few more features on it which are quite shooter friendly. Obviously the price has gone up a little bit. From the box it comes with this synthetic stock. It's not fiberglass, it's like blown plastic. A little bit noisy in the butt, but that's the way these things are. But the stock includes replaceable comb sections to get your head position right, and also adjustable length of pull. It has the tang safety, which I do like, and that's a hangover from the original M77 Rugers. But with the American, it was a 2-position safety, fire and safe. With this one, as you can see, it's 3-position. The action supports a 20-inch, what I call medium weight barrel, which is spiral fluted. The flutes are deep, and I actually think that this does make a little bit of difference to handling and weight, because they've taken a lot of metal away. It also comes with a Picatinny rail as standard, which is a great move from my point of view. Feed is from a 3-round box magazine. Trigger is their marksman trigger, which is basically, it's like the Savage Accu trigger. The stock is reasonably rigid in the forend. It's not a big forend, it's not small, it's taped a little bit. There's a bit of a free float on there, and there is fingerboards for grip. And all the metal work is finished in Cerakote gunmetal grey, and the stock is a grey with a black and sort of tan web, which they call splatter finish. So basically it's textured. There is texturing here as well and gripping grooves, but it's quite a nice sticky stock in all conditions. American also introduced what Ruger call power bedding. Obviously the budget rifle, you can't go crazy because you're trying to keep prices down. What they've done with the synthetic stock, they mould in a pair of V-blocks that engage with cutouts on the underside of the receiver. And so the gun pretty much automatically beds itself. It can't move anywhere from this power bedding, which is, I think, quite clever. Weight is 6.2 pounds, so it's a handy little rifle. Length is 41.25 inches. You get 2 options with this. There's the standard, which is this gun, the 20-inch. You get the Ranch. Now, if you guys might remember the Ranch, it was like a compact rifle, I think 16 to 18 inches depending on the caliber. The price is $850, recommended by Viking. I've seen them for $799, $825. So as ever, this day and age, go into your gun shop, see what they're offering. For sort of big boy calibers are 6 and 6.5 Creedmoor, 243, 308 and 270 Winchester, the famous Holy Trinity, 30-06, 300 Win Mag if you want some serious grunt. The bolt is pretty standard. There's a catch on the left. Pull it out. Nice big solid body, which I do like very much. See here, the whole bolt handle can come out once you've undone the screw. Got a 3-lug action, which means you've got about a 70-degree lift, and it has a single plunger ejector and a nice big extractor. So I'm expecting no problems with this whatsoever. Okay, the rear sling swivel stud is set at an angle. This comes out, as I will show you now, which is a pain because you've got to keep twisting it and twisting it. So after much twisting, this just pulls free, and then we can see the magic happen. 2 things here. Screws out. That is the recoil pad, which is nice and squidgy, but not too squidgy. And this is an extension. You can also, if you're very, very short, you can just take this whole thing off and put the recoil pad back in, and it attaches straight there. Ruger do offer different lengths of pull sections, so you can contact Viking and get those. The other thing you can do with this is a comb, obviously. It just literally pulls off like that. There's a little tiny cutouts in here which engage with. So what you do, you drop it on, push it forward like that, then you put the butt piece back on and you're in business. You can get, I think, another height of comb. This is the lowest one, which actually does work quite well with most scopes I found. But if you've got something big and high, I think there's an extra height one you can get. But I found this a tad short in the shoulder because I'm quite long armed, but by the same token, still very shootable. Tank safety, very nice, well positioned, under the thumb, really good for a hunting rifle. Now it offers 3 positions. See here, 2 white marks, mean that's full safe. Bolt is completely locked. Push it forward 1 click, 1 white mark. Bolt operation, rifle is still safe. To shoot, flick it forward, red dash there, squeeze away. Probably noticed here, there's also a cocked action indicator you can see and feel. The handle is a good length, not too long, too short. You've got a nice ball end, easy to use. You can actually undo a long bolt in here and pull this out and change things around if you so desire. Trigger is the Marksman, as I said, and you can see is what I call a very Glock-like trigger. You've got this broad blade, which is the actual trigger, and this skeletonized inner blade, which is basically, if you look, I'm pulling the trigger, I've got the gun on fire, I'm pulling it with my left finger and it's not going anywhere, but as soon as I depress that, it fires. To access the trigger, you have to take the front rear action screws out, which is a bit of a pain because the rear one sits under this magazine catch. It's a bit fiddly. You need what they call a Bondus Allen key that has a ball end, so you can actually turn an angle. But it's set up for between £3 and £5. When I took out the box, it was okay, a little bit firm, and I took it out and I wound it. It's a single inset Allen grub screw that adjusts the weight because it's a weight only trigger, nothing else. And I wound it down a little bit and it was slightly better, but it's not an amazing trigger, but the break is good enough to shoot with. It doesn't surprise you, so it's just the way it is. You can't expect miracles, but I think for the money, feature wise, you're getting quite a lot. Magazine is a little bit strange in some ways. It's a single column box, which means you cannot load it through the ejection port. They just go in one on top of the other. It makes a very good feed, a single column, no question about that, and there's nice thick feed lips even though the magazine is polymer. Okay, let's just put safety on. Check. Right, to load, put the mag in, shut the bolt. Logical. But if you shut the action, as you can see, the magazine doesn't lock in position. So basically, you cannot get a 4th round in the gun. If you're going hunting, make sure your safety catch is on. Put it in, close it, and that's it. Here we see the fluting in a little more detail. It's about 3/4 fluted, and these flutes are really very deep and nice. They might even add to barrel rigidity, I'm not sure. But if nothing else, it looks very good. And let's face it, with similar guns in a similar price bracket, people are going to stop and look at something that looks a bit different and sexy. And so the muzzle brake, it's a pretty serious muzzle brake. Just comes off like that. It's a multi-port muzzle brake. Ammunition wise, I went with 4 rows. The test rifles in 308. What else? We have from the left Hornaday full bore, which is a 165 grain non-lead. Been around for a long time and it works well and it's not a bad shooter. New is Remington's core locked tip. This has been improved. Remington are now pushing ammo out of a new factory. Apparently it's all new design and package. So I was keen to see how it compared to the old stuff. In fact, Viking Arms, the importers of Remington, sent me a load of Remington ammo, which we'll be looking at in detail in another video. This is a 150 grain load, which is pretty standard for a 308. You can get some good velocities out of it. Interesting is the Seiko game head. It's a jacketed soft point, so quite standard, but it's running 123 grain bullets, so you should be getting velocity is getting up to sort of 3,000 feet per second. And finally, while standby, mine used in miniguns very successfully, Norma's tip strike, which is a 170 grain ballistic tip. Okay, just get a few rounds down. Said before, the action needs to be opened if you're putting a full magazine in. Pushes up, make sure it's in. Safety design, I do like this this triple safety, it's really good. Just get used to it, it's very easy to use under the finger. Okay, let's go. If you need another round, as I said, you can drop it in. Well, first of all, if you're confused, this is one of the new Napier neoprene moderator covers, which I find really useful today. It's a hot day and it keeps the heat down when I'm shooting. But they do a range of slings and a scope cover, which we'll be looking at very, very soon. What do I think of the rifle? Overall, no real complaints. Price point's good, 800-ish, not too bad at all. Looks nice, it's not too big, it's handy, offers adjustments on length of pull and comb. Trigger's okay, it's not the best adjustable trigger in the world, but again we are talking about a sort of a well-priced rifle here, and you can tickle it. I tickled it a bit and it's brought it down. I think if you're not used to this sort of trigger system with a blade in blade, you need to work at it, because sometimes if you touch it you think you've actually touched the trigger when you haven't. So it's just a matter of familiarisation with anything you do. Bolt action's pretty good. Shoots well off a bipod. I haven't put it on a bag today, just been shooting off a bipod, and it's pulling some very nice groups. Magazine, 3 rounds, really, I'd like to see more, but it doesn't really matter. The only good thing is you can, if you go empty and need another round, you can actually just chuck a round into the ejection port and you can feed it. So, which is quite useful. Trigger guard, perhaps a little tiny bit small. It's all integral with the stock, but the stock is nice. It's very grippy. And what I would like to see though is if Ruger would perhaps add in another comb and another extender pad. Overall, I think the rifle is good value for money indeed. No real complaints whatsoever. Okay, as ever, we need to look at what comes out the end of the rifle and what it offers. First of all, it's a 20-inch tube and rounds out down a little bit as is expected. So, Hornaday full bore, 165 grain non-lead. They quote 2,610 and the average figure is 2,503, so that's a 107 feet per second loss. Standard deviation is 11.5, which is pretty good, and I know from past experience full bore shoots very well, and this one has really done nicely. 0.488, very good. Norma tip strike, 170 grain ballistic tip. They quote 2,625 and the average was 2,547, so that's a 78 feet per second loss, which is not too bad for a weightier bullet in that sort of length of barrel. Group over 1.113 inches. Seiko Game Head 123 grain soft point. They quote 3,020 feet per second and the average is 2,893, so that's a loss of just 27 feet per second. Standard deviation was 16.8 and the group was 1.186, so just over the MOA. And the new boy, Remington's new core lock tipped. They quote 2,840 feet per second and the average on this rifle was 2,666. Standard deviation was 18.6 and the group was an impressive 0.757, which I thought was pretty good. So basically you could say we've got 2 that are shooting sub MOA and 2 that are just shooting on or just over MOA, so you can happily say this is a sub MOA rifle in my opinion, or worse, an MOA rifle, which is not bad at all. if you're looking for something for hunting, then you would not be disappointed in this, in my opinion. It looks nice, fluted barrel, all the bits and pieces, pretty much good adjustment. You know, think about it, because bear in mind this is a step up from the American, and it is a step up from the American. In many ways it's the same, but there's a lot of extra features, as I've said, that do make it perhaps more shootable, in my opinion. And if you're paying, even if you paid $850, which is the top end, I reckon you'll be hitting 800 in a shop, then you've got a good shooting rifle that's capable of all the deer in the UK and going overseas to shoot larger game in 308 and that sort of caliber. Whereas other rifles that shoot as good as this and look as good as this and feel as good as this, they're easily well over $1,000, well over 1,200. So it is actually quite a bargain. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Tell your friends if you did, and support the channel as usual. And if you want to speak to me, it's the usual thing, pmoore.shootingsports@gmail.com. Okay, and also watch out, I'm starting to do shorts. Someone persuaded me to give it a go, so I'm giving it a go, and they'll be on the channel when I start putting them in. Okay guys, have fun, shoot straight, be safe.